Morning, dear friends. It's lovely to have you with me again today. My name is Colleen, and if you haven't been to my channel before, thank you so much for joining me. And if you are returning, you're very welcome, and thank you for your support for this channel. It really helps to grow me on YouTube and to be able to make more content as my channel grows. Today I'm going to do a fairly quick video on making something that can be used either as a junk journal embellishment or as perhaps a bookmark if you're doing a sort of a function or you're looking for quick gifts or things to use for an event, like maybe you've got a function somewhere and you want just a little gift to give. So we're going to be using today some of these large craft sticks. Now normally they would come in a natural wood color, but I have painted these white using some gouache, which is opaque watercolor. You could use acrylic paint, you could use chalk paint, that's absolutely fine. And you can get these on Amazon or online at any of the other stores. They're tongue depressors, or they're sometimes used for applying wax if you're doing waxing on your legs and things. They're 6-inch in length, and they are wider than the normal popsicle or ice lolly sticks. So that is the color that they normally come in, and I've painted mine white. Now the reason I've painted them white is simply because your napkins that we're going to be using to decorate them with today are fairly transparent. So let me just show you with this lovely napkin I've got with an agapanthus. That's the natural wood color underneath, and that's the color of the napkin where it's white. So you'll see that the color becomes brighter once you've actually painted it white. So that's the reason why I've done that. The next thing is choosing your napkins. Now, because we have so many beautiful napkins available, there are some things that you're going to need to consider before you start. First of all, you're going to need to remove all the backing layers. So you're just left with a thin front layer that's got the printed design. But you're also going to need to select your design fairly carefully, because if you have your craft stick here and you're just using that part of an image, it's not going to look very attractive. So you're wanting to have an image that's pretty much all over design, and yeah, sometimes smaller in pattern, but not necessarily always. It depends on the design. So looking at this lovely design of the agapanthus, this is not one I would be using, because I'd either get just the middle of the flower or the petals, and it's not going to look great. This napkin I could quite easily use, because I would take the edging, which has got the crackle effect, and I could use that very happily as a background, especially if I wanted to do a bit of text on here. I could type something up on my computer, or I could use a sentiment and stick something on there. So that would be a suitable background for me. I've got another one that has these lovely leaves. Now, because these leaves tend to sort of move across the design and they're not linear and standing straight up and down, these ones would actually work. So you could see that that could be quite effective. And if I move this across a little bit further to get a different part of the design, I would be able to use that. So this for me is a yes as an option. I've got another napkin here of a lovely sort of seaside town, and if I had to use this section, which has got the larger sort of beach houses and the houses in the background, it would work, but it's not that interesting. But if I moved it over this side to where the smallest designs are, I'd get a little bit more in, and that could be quite fun. Even this with a little tower in it would be quite fun as part of a design, but I'm not sold on this one for what we're going to be doing today. Here's a napkin that has an all-over design, and this really just gives you an opportunity to play nicely with any part of the serviette, and also just to use all of it. So if I was to line my craft stick up here, you would see that that would give me a pretty splendid design. And equally, if I had to use it on this side here, that would work well, and there'd be minimal wastage. So if you look at that, you'd get a pretty nice one. So that's a yes for me. I've got this one that has background flowers, and this could work as well, especially these slightly taller images. So for argument's sake, that I would just take that little white slightly off the edge of my craft stick, but you could see that that would work. And if I had to move it slightly forward, I could get that small butterfly in, and that would work. But I'm not sure that I'm going to be using this one today, so I'm going to put this one aside. Again, if you are wanting to put a sentiment onto a design, or you're using it maybe for something where the background is more the color that you need, this one with an all-over cherry design is quite bold and striking, but it doesn't have a lot of pattern on its own, so I'm setting that one aside for today. I've got two of the one of the pear. Okay, I've got another design that's got leaves on it, and I'm a bit naughty because when I go out for lunch and that, and I've got a meal and they present me with a napkin, I normally just tuck it into my bag. So this was one of them, and this, because it's got this lovely all over design and the pictures and the images of the leaves are fairly close together, that would be beautiful. So I think we'll do one of those. Here's another napkin where if I had to use this linear edge with these orangey color flowers, that would just squeeze on, and I could line that up so that that would work. I have this one which has got music, and I thought this goldy color where the stamp is could be quite fun with some of the music notes. So it's got enough on here to be interesting. You could line that up quite nicely, but I'm not going to work with that because I think the colors won't show up as well as some of the others I've got. Now these are those little mini napkins, and these have got quite a lot of nice images. I wouldn't use the stripes, so I would make sure that that was off the edge of the napkin, but I would have enough interest there, so I think we'll do one of those. I've got this which has got lots of tiny little images which are just about the width of the craft stick, so that could be quite fun to do like that. So we'll do one of those, and I've got this nice all over pattern which is probably the easiest one to actually do, and this would work. You'd be able to use the whole napkin just because it's so nice and colorful. So having said all of that, I'm just going to clear some of these other napkins away, and then I'll show you what the next stage is. So, as I mentioned, the first part of the process is to remove the backing of the serviettes. So sometimes you'll have two, and sometimes you'll have three layers. Quite often the edges of the napkin have this kind of embossed look to it, you know, that's been sort of, I suppose, bonded together with some kind of process, maybe a little sort of roller of some sort. And you're wanting to get both of these layers off if there are two, or if it's a single one, you want to get that off as well. I tend to keep these papers because quite often if I'm doing junk journals and I want to subdue the text in a book page, I can use those to do that quite nicely. So here you've got the white craft stick, and here is the natural one, just again to show you the contrast in the actual color that we've got. This particular napkin here I think has only got two layers. I quite often just run my finger down the edge just to get them lifted up. Yeah, two layers. Peel it off now, it just feels as though there's another one there. When it starts to look a little bit, yeah, there are two more, or should I say one more, two layers in total. When it starts to look slightly milky on the background, then you must just question whether there are many more layers. So because this napkin has got a brighter color, then you'll find that it's easier to stick over the natural stick and not have the design of the napkin affected as much. So let me show you that contrast. So I've got the unpainted one on the right and the painted one on the left, and you'll see that because the background color is dark, it doesn't make much difference, but for the other ones it will. Now the other thing that you'll notice is quite often when you peel these off, the second layer has this lovely sort of almost silhouette of the design, and those can be fun to use for junk journals or stick onto a piece of card and use it as a card background. So we've got two of those. This is the black and white one where I've removed the backing, and look at that lovely silhouette that you could actually use. So you've got plenty to play with here. And here's a couple more, so let's just remove these. Okay, so I do have all my napkins prepared and ready to go, and I'm going to be using some of my Galleria matte medium to stick them down. So because these napkins or serviettes are so thin, I don't normally put glue underneath. I normally select my area that I'm going to stick my napkin on. I do give a slight overlap, and we'll address that once the napkin is dry. And then I'm just going to position my craft stick, and I'm going to use a very soft Taklon brush, so the bristles are very fine and it's really soft, so that it doesn't have any bristles that will be likely to poke through the actual napkin. You could cut the napkins into strips prior to doing the gluing process if you want to, but I'm just going to go ahead and glue them down like this. Let the napkin hang down the side, it'll be easier to deal with just now, like that. And then because your napkin will be wet, it's going to be very easy just to gently tear this away from the edge, and it comes away fairly neatly if you're a bit patient as you do it. Tear it all around the edges. There we go. So you'll see on the left hand side here that I have a little bit of a piece of paper on the edge. I'm going to leave that, and when this is dry I'll show you how to remove that nicely. I'm using my matte medium to go over the surface so that my design is now encapsulated, and when I'm using it, it's not going to wear off so easily or become stained. I'll be able to wipe this down if necessary. I'll give it a little bit of a brush around the edge that has been cut off already, and I'm going to just set this aside. I think I might need a brush for this. So what I'm going to do is just rest it like that on the brush until it's dry. Be careful of doing what I've just done, is lifting a corner with your fingers. So the best thing here is always to have some matte medium on your brush so that your fingers don't stick. Right, so that's the first one. Just going to smooth all that matte medium down. Right, we'll do the next one now. I'm just going to carry on, and as I'm doing this I will just put on some music so that you can listen along. Got it. I knew that this one, by the color of the backing, that had an extra layer. I finally managed to separate it.
In the midnight glow where the stars align, we lose ourselves in the rhythm divine. Underneath the sky painted with dreams, we're chasing the echoes of silent screams. Caught in the spell of the cosmic night, where fantasies bloom in the pale moonlight. We'll let go of all that we know and dance in the stardust's gentle flow. Dancing in the stardust, we're weightless and free in a world of wonders. Just you and me, lost in the moment, our spirits ignite.
Sometimes when you're working with a darker color napkin, you'll notice that you pick up a little bit of color on your brush. So in that instance, I would just take a little bit of a cloth just to wipe off the extra matte medium so that that color doesn't transfer to your next image that you're going to do.
In this celestial ballroom, love's defined, caught in the spell of the cosmic night, the fantasies bloom in the pale moonlight. Dancing in the stardust, we're weightless and free in a world of wonders. Just you and me, lost in the moment, our spirits ignite as we twirl in the magic of the cosmic light. The shimmering galaxies will find our way, guided by love's everlasting sway. With each celestial heartbeat, we'll dance on in this cosmic gate.
Okay, so the reason why I'm resting all of these against a paintbrush is so that they don't actually stick to the card underneath that I'm just using, which is just an old Amazon envelope. I might do one more and then I'll just add it to this. But for now we're going to leave this to dry completely, and then I'll show you the next step. So I've allowed my craft sticks with the napkins on to dry completely, and we're going to come to the stage where we're going to clean them up a little bit. So I have with myself here is a little emery board which has got very, very fine sandpaper on, and I'm going to use this almost at a 45-degree angle just to rub against the surface of this stick. You'll find that it seems as though it's taking a long time, but it actually comes away fairly quickly and you get such a nice neat edge. It is actually worth the effort. So there is my stick, nice and neatly done. You'll see that the edges here are very nice and clean all the way around. So I'm going to stop filming for now. I'm going to clean up the rest of these and then I'll show you how we're going to finish them off. Okay, so let's just finish up our little bookmarks. I've got here my crocodile punch and I've got two different holes, and I'm going to use the large one just to punch a hole through the wood. I did test it beforehand and it does work nicely, so I'm going to go down just ever so slightly, try and get it as centered as possible, and there we've punched a nice neat little hole. So I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm just going to need to knock the little bits of wood out. I'm actually really impressed with how nicely the holes go through the wood. I thought the wood would splinter, but it hasn't done that. Right, so again, just slightly down. Now you can put eyelets in these, you could leave them, it's up to you. It depends what you've got in terms of equipment and things. One's got stuck. Right, there we go, release. Okay, it's just these little bits of wood will block it, so you just have to keep tapping it out. Right, here we go. Make sure we get our holes nice and clean. Right, so I've got a few little pieces stuck in the hole here. I'm going to just try quickly and get those out so it doesn't stick again. There we go. Now if for some reason you've got any little bits of paper or anything here, just tidy that up at this stage. You can now choose whether you want to put little eyelets in or not. I think I am going to go with eyelets for some of them, but I won't do all of them. I don't quite like that colour, maybe this. Push it in. Okay, so the eyelets are going to be a tight squeeze into the wood. I might abandon this idea. Yeah, I'm going to abandon this idea. So the eyelets are going to be too tight to go into that. When you work with paper with the eyelets, there's a little bit of flexibility and it'll give a little bit. So that's why it's easier. My next choice that I have is I've got some different bulb pins in different colors and different sizes. These are quite small little ones, and these are some smaller ones, some bigger ones, but I'm going to go with the colorful ones now, and I think I'm going to go with this blue one for this particular thing here. I have so I've got some bulb pins which I'm going to use. I'm going to go with this blue one for the berries, and I'm going to just use one of these little tags that has got a sentiment on it. I'm going to thread this in from behind, slide the little sentiment on, and then just leave that. So I've actually got a nice little bookmark, but of course you could decorate that with anything you wanted to. I have some others where I've got some tassels, so I'm going to use a nice pink one here just to thread the tassel through. And as I said in the beginning of the video, you could use these just as bookmarks, or you could use them in your junk journals. Quite nice as an insert somewhere. I mean, that looks really nice. I'm going to do the leaves with this green tassel. Just tidy up this edge here. These would even be great for Christmas time for stocking fillers, because it's something that you could do together with kids, either at a school or you could do them at home sitting around a dining room table and have a nice chatter, but make some little things to go into a stocking filler. Tassels you can pre-buy, for most of the haberdashery stores will have them. You can get them online. Okay, so those are the three with the tassels. And then this one, I think I'm going to use a silver bulb pin. And I think I'm going to use the word faith. So again, I'm going to thread this through from the back and just attach this. You could use ribbon to come at the top. You could use a bit of twine. Let's imagine, and this one I think perhaps we'll go for this lilac-y colour. And I'm going to put another sentiment here, and I think this one will be Miracle. Okay, so those are fairly easy to thread on. And then I mentioned that you could actually add a sentiment onto one of these. So I have these sentiments which are on black, and I'm going to say that I'm going to just choose one of them to go onto this one. So this one says, start each day with a grateful heart. These are stickers that I have, and I'm just going to stick this into the middle like that. So I've actually got quite a nice little bookmark there. Right, so there we go, some very, very simple ideas of something that you can do just with tongue depressors or these extra large craft sticks. If you wanted to take it one step further and you've got a distress ink pad in your stash, then what you could quite easily do would be to just take your ink and just ink up the edges. It'll give it a slightly more vintage feel. And I'm doing this one so I can show you what it looks like with and without. So you'll see that one's got a slightly more vintagey vibe. Okay, if you found the white was too strong, you could use a blending tool and just subdue it with some of your distress inks. So there we go, a few little things to do for fun, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've liked it, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel, and you can even hype this video, which will help my channel grow. Thank you so much for joining me and for watching today. Bye for now.